Hello there. You've been imprisoned at home by the government, and now some of you are effectively imprisoned in your cars by Insulate Britain. Welcome to the new normal. As per usual, please like, subscribe and comment below. And when subscribing, please do press that little bell, but also select the all option, or you won't get any notifications when I publish a new video. Road users are getting understandably frustrated with the antics of Insulate Britain, especially as they feel so helpless as the police and courts do not appear to have the legal tools to deal properly with them. But maybe, just maybe, they do. And more on that in a minute. We keep seeing it, don't we? Lines of Insulate Britain activists sitting in the road preventing people going about their lawful activities, whether it be answering emergency calls, going shopping, going to work, or just visiting friends. And most egregious of all, stopping people from visiting relatives and friends in hospital. And we've seen that Extinction Rebellion founder, Roger Hallam, when backing the actions of Insulate Britain, saying he would stop an ambulance taking a dying person to hospital. Yes, these people would prevent ambulances taking sick people to the only safe haven they have, a hospital. And the worst that happens to them is they go to court, slap on the wrist for some highway or minor public order offence, then back out to the next junction blocking event. Some of them are serial offenders. And right now, this afternoon, there are stories of extremely frustrated drivers resorting to threats and force to try and clear their way. Things are getting ugly. So it's time for the authorities to get serious against these offenders, the Insulate Britain campaigners. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but I want to ask why the police and CPS are not arresting these people for the much more serious offence of unlawful or false imprisonment. Now, this is not as ludicrous as it sounds. And I can hear you asking, where are the bars and where are the keys? Well, believe it or not, bars, keys and locked doors are not required for the elements of the offence of unlawful imprisonment to be met. And it is an indictable-only offence, carrying a potential life sentence. The use of physical force and coercion are also sufficient to meet the definition of unlawful imprisonment. And one example to bear in mind is of someone holding on to a valuable possession knowing that the owner won't leave the area without it. No bars there, no walls, and no chains, locks or keys. Now think about being held up in a traffic jam. Would you just walk away and leave your car there? Now, as I understand it, false or unlawful imprisonment is a common law offence in criminal law and is also actionable in the civil courts for damages. And under case law, to prove unlawful imprisonment, you have to show the unlawful restraint of a victim's freedom to leave a particular location, either through intention or recklessness. Nothing about bars, walls or locks. And just as importantly, nothing about the imprisoned having to fear for their safety or well-being. Now, some of you will be saying that the driver can just leave their car, so it's not imprisonment. But what I'm talking about is being confined to an area, not just to the inside of the car. Let's take the extreme case of Insulate Britain sitting down across a motorway. The cars on a motorway can only travel in the one direction. It is illegal to reverse or to drive the other way. And under the highway code, vehicles are not allowed to stop, except in an emergency or when told to do so by the police, traffic officers, an emergency sign or by red flashing light signals. You know, those signs on the gantries. A group of political campaigners do not have that authority. So when they block your progress, they are acting unlawfully and are also blocking your only legal route of exit from the area you are in. Why do you think they do it? You cannot go up or down. You cannot go left or right. You cannot go backwards. And you cannot leave your car on the motorway and walk off down the hard shoulder. That is illegal unless there's an emergency. And people sat unharmed in the middle of the motorway is not an emergency. An embuggerance, yes, but an emergency, no. So I would argue that you are trapped to a confined area, probably inside your car, by the campaigners blocking your only legal route out, which is down the motorway you were travelling on. And this could well also apply to dual carriageways and any road with one-way signs and no parking signs on the side. So leaving your car there to toddle off to find a bus to take you to work is probably a legal no-no. So the bottom line is that drivers are fettered by the law in what responses they can make to being unlawfully held up by protesters. Usually the only legal route would be over the bodies of the protesters, which is still an offence in its own right, I understand. And another important facet of this is there's no minimum time limit for this offence. No, under case law, just 2 or 3 seconds delay would suffice to make it a crime. And I would argue, if that's the case, then every single driver held up by these clowns has been unlawfully imprisoned. There would be no argument that it's all okay because the drivers can wait and go free once the police have cleared the road or cleared another way out for drivers to take, which could take minutes or hours. No, just a few seconds of it and the crime is committed. And the longer it takes for the police to clear a way out for you, the longer the crime persists. And as to someone in an ambulance being rushed to hospital with blue lights flashing, if held up by Insulate Britain, the patient in that ambulance must surely have been unlawfully imprisoned by being denied their otherwise only safe and blockage-free route to a hospital that could save their life. And the campaigners don't have to intend to keep people in a certain area. They only have to be reckless in what they do that causes it. As far as I can see, the drivers stuck in those Insulate Britain logjams are forced by a combination of the law on pain of prosecution and the unlawful acts of the campaigners to stay in one confined area for much more than just a few seconds, with no legal way of leaving. As far as I'm concerned, Insulate Britain could protest from safe, legal places, but they do not. They intend to get in people's way and stop them progressing. Their intention is clear. And think how many people have already potentially been unlawfully imprisoned by these people. Just think back to that example I gave of someone holding on to a valuable item in order to keep someone from leaving. No bars, no walls, no chains, no locks, no keys, no threats, and the item's owner can freely leave when they like. All that keeps them there is that one valuable item, and that's classed as false imprisonment. Now think about your car. You could leave it there, in the middle of the carriageway, and walk to work, only to have your vehicle towed away, stolen, broken into, or otherwise damaged. Wouldn't you feel compelled by law and by wanting to safeguard your property to remain there even if you didn't want to? Surely the police and CPS should be looking at something like this with a view to some serious Crown Court action, especially for the serial offenders. These people are putting lives at risk. They should be dealt with forcefully using the law. But now it gets a bit stickier. If the police are not acting swiftly to deal with this by dragging the offenders away as soon as they can, then are they also committing the crime of falsely imprisoning those motorists? And once again, I would argue yes. So what's your opinion on dealing with Insulate Britain protests? Please like and comment below.